بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. Inshallah, we're going to cover 3 different topics, inshallah. The first one being ad-du'a. Ad-du'a. Making du'a for our children. That we make du'a for our children. And this is taken from a book by Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, Hafidahullah. And he has a book, Rakaiz fi Tarbiyat al-Abna', which are basically pillars or basic principles in raising children. So he starts off discussing the importance of ad-du'a, praying for our children. And he says, ad-du'a lil-anbiya, ad-du'a lil-abna'. He says this is from the Rakaiz, al-Rakiza, Rakaiz. These are from the basic pillars or foundations of raising the children. He says ad-du'a, from the basic things that every Muslim should take on in their daily life is praying for their children. He says وَهَذَا الدُّعَاء يَكُونُ قَبْلَ مَجِيئِهِمْ وَبَعْدَهُ, before the child is born, and after the child is born. Not just when we want a child. We want Allah to bless us with a child. We're making dua, and Allah bless us with a child, and we stop making dua. We're satisfied, that's enough. But he says before and after. فَيَدْعُوا الْوَالِدَانِ أَنْ يَرْزَقَهُمُ اللَّهُ جَلَّ وَعَلَى الذُّرِّيَّةَ الصَّالِحَةَ. That a person prays that Allah, the parents should be praying that Allah not just blesses them with children, but blesses them with righteous children. Because if the kids are not righteous, it's possible that a child makes dua against the parent. It's possible that a child makes dua against their parents. Allah protect us all. So he says that they should pray and ask Allah that Allah blesses them with hidayah, to guide the children, guidance for our children. It's not enough that we just have a bunch of kids. MashaAllah. 10 kids, 6 kids, 5 kids, 5 boys, 5 girls. It's not enough. That we should be praying and asking Allah for guidance for our children. Bil hidayah or salah. And that they're correct and upright. Wal istiqamah or thabat ala diyana. And that they are firm, that our children are firm upon the religion. This is the dua that we should be making for our children. Not just that we have a bunch of kids. Not that we're in competition to see who can have the most kids, who can have the most wives, and how many kids can I have from this wife and that wife. But the benefit is in the righteous child, the child that is righteous. He said, Uswatun bil anbiya alayhim as-salam. And this is meaning making dua for righteous children is from the way of the prophets. It's from the way of the prophets. As it comes in the Quran, كما أخبرنا الله جل وعلا عن خليله إبراهيم عليه السلام أنه قال ربي هب لي من الصالحين. وإبراهيم عليه السلام, he said in Surah Al-Safat, he said, my Lord, grant me children from the righteous. This is from the way of the prophets, that they ask for righteous children. Righteous children. We're not in competition to see who can have the most kids. That's not really hard. Having kids is not really hard. I think you all know that. But raising them to be righteous, being mindful on a daily basis to make dua for them, that takes a little more. وقال أيضا, Ibrahim also said عليه السلام, رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي, in Surah Ibrahim, where Ibrahim said, my Lord, make me from those who establish the salah. the Prophet Ibrahim, make me of those who establish the salah, and from my children, meaning make my children of those who establish the salah. And this is from the guidance of the messengers, that they made dua for their children. And also he brings the ayat, هُنَالِكَ دَعَى زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ. When Zakaria made dua and he called on Allah, قَالَ رَبِّ أَهَبَ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً إِنَّكَ السَّمِيعُ الدُّعَاء. He said, oh my Lord, grant me good or righteous offspring. Indeed, you are the one who hears the dua. So this is from the guidance of the Anbiya, the prophets, that they made dua not just for children, but for righteous children. For righteous children. Also, in Surah Furqan, where Allah says, رَبَّنَا هَبَ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. The dua, O my Lord, O our Lord, grant us from our wives and our offspring what is translated as قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, a coolness for the eyes, that the parents are pleased with the product. Pleased with the product. Pleased with the behavior and the end result that they had in front of them from their children. Not just having a bunch of kids. Because as we know, there's a bunch of kids running the street and they're Muslims. And sometimes we know their parents. And they might be the biggest problems on the block. So it's of no benefit that if they're not righteous. Because at the end of the day, we want our kids to make dua for us after we die. As it comes to hadith, that will be something that's ongoing. A child that is righteous, that makes dua for their parents when they're dead. So that's the qasd. Ibn Kathir said about this ayat that the children that are what is said a coolness to the eyes. He says, يعني الذين يسألون الله, those children that this dua is for, is that Allah brings forth offspring. He says, من يطيعه ويعبده وحده لا شريك له. It's a dua that Allah gives a person offspring that will obey Allah. That the offspring, they will obey Allah, they're obedient to Allah, and that they worship Allah without any partners. Ibn Abbas said, radiallahu anhuma, he said, من يعمل بالطاعة. Those children that we're making dua for, the dua is that they worship Allah, that they are upon obedience to Allah. Not just that Allah gives us kids. I want a child, I want a girl, right? We want a girl, dress them up, and they got all of the dunya and no deen. Or we have a bunch of boys and we got a basketball team. We got a starting five, and none of them can recite al-Fatiha correctly. Allah understand. Sometimes we say you got a football team. Out of a football team, how many are hafid more than a juz of Quran? Right? Realistically. So, he says from the benefits or from the guidance of the messengers is that the messengers made dua for righteous children, not just for a bunch of children. He says, وَمِن نِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ وَكَرَمِهِ أَنْ جَعْلَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ دَعْوَةَ الْوَالِدِ لِأَوْلَادِهِ مُسْتَجَابًا. And that is not rejected. From the blessings of Allah is that Allah made the dua of the parent for their offspring accepted. It's not rejected. The dua of the parents for their children is a dua that is accepted. كما ثبت عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, as it comes in the hadith, ثلاث دعوات مستجابات لا شك فيهن. There are 3 du'as that are accepted without a doubt. 3 du'as that are accepted without a doubt. He says, firstly, da'watul walid, the du'a of the parent. The du'a of the parent, which shows the importance of us making du'a when we're in sajda. Because when we're in sajda, when we're really in the crunch, when the heat is really on with something from the dunya, bills and, we jam up, we get in a tight spot, and we seeking Allah's help, we make that dua in sajda, we make the sajda long, and then when we really know we need Allah's help, We make the sajda long. But what about making the sajda long for a dua that the Prophet ﷺ said is answered without shak, without a doubt? He said, La shakka fihinna, no doubt. It says in the hadith. He says, firstly, da'watul walid, the dua of the parent. He says, secondly, da'watul musafir, the dua of the traveler. And thirdly, he says, da'watul mazloom, and the dua of the one who has been oppressed, the person who has been oppressed, that dua is answered. And oppression, dhulm, is haram in Islam. It's haram. It's not permissible to oppress people. Not Islam. It's not permissible for a Muslim to oppress people. And there are many ayat in the Quran that discuss oppression and how the oppressors, those who oppress people, how they will be dealt with. قال تعالى والله لا يحب الظالمين. Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, and Allah does not love the oppressors. وقال تعالى إنه لا يفلح الظالمين. Allah says, and indeed, the oppressors will not be successful. The oppressors will not be successful. وقال تعالى إن الله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Allah says, and Allah will not guide a people who are oppressive, who oppress people. And there are different types of dhulm. وقال تعالى ألا إن الظالمين في عذاب مقيم. Indeed, that the oppressors are in a severe torment. And Imam Saajid said this torment يعني لا يخرجون منها أبدا. That the oppressors will be in a torment that they will not exit from. طيب. Dhulm, oppression, is different types. Do we know the different types of oppression? How many different types of oppression? Anybody know? Huh? Different types of oppression. 3 different types of oppression. 3 different ways that a person is considered an oppressor. A person is considered an oppressor from 3 different ways. But number 1, a dhulm, which is commonly translated as oppression. But when we'll see based on the different categories of oppression that sometimes it can carry a different meaning than what the English gives off. So dhulm is to put something basically in the wrong place. وَضَعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي غَيْرِ مَوْضِعِهِ. Right? To put something where it doesn't belong. To put something where it doesn't belong. So the first type of oppression is dhulm bayn al-'abd wa rabbih. That a person is oppressive concerning himself and his Lord. He's oppressive, right? He's oppressive concerning himself. Between him and Allah, he's considered an oppressor. وَذَلِكَ بِالشِّرْكِ, by putting partners with Allah in worship, right? And Allah, He called shirk, He named shirk in the Quran, He said shirk, and He called it oppression. That we know, dhulm. قال إن الشرك لظلم عظيم in Surah Al-Luqman. He said, indeed, shirk is a great form of oppression. So a person could be oppressive when it comes to his own self, between him and his Lord. That's the first type, between him, a person and their Lord, between him and Allah Jalla wa Ala. Another thani, the second type of oppression, after we heard all those ayat about the oppressors not being successful, that Allah doesn't love the oppressors, that those who are oppressive will be in a serious torment, right? A person could be oppressive by committing shirk. A person could be oppressive, ظُلْمٌ بَيْنَ الْعَبْدِ وَنَفْسِهِ وَذَلِكَ بِالْمَعَاصِي وَالسَّيِّئَاتِ فَهُوَ الَّذِي ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. A person could be oppressive. He could oppress his own self by being disobedient to Allah Jalla wa Ala. By being disobedient, sinning, whether it's openly or privately. As we have a problem now we have a problem now with the internet, where people don't mind sinning and disobeying Allah openly on camera and recording it for the world to see. As it comes in the hadith, that the believer is the one, when he commits a sin, When he commits a sin, he sees that sin as if it's a mountain that's about to crumble on him, the believer. When he commits a sin, he sees it as a mountain. He feels so bad, it feels like a mountain is going to crumble on him. But the one who is weak in Iman, when they commit a sin, or as it comes in the hadith, that it's no big deal. It's like a fly blew past their face. They're just trying to get the fly out of their face. It's no big deal to them. And we're living in a time like that where people record themselves disobeying Allah and put it on the internet for the world to see. Muslims disobeying Allah on camera and put it on the internet for the world to see. We're not talking about a person who disobeys Allah and covers his own sins. But how much more a person get on camera and disobey Allah and put it on the internet for the world to say? This is oppression, but a person oppresses their own soul as they put themselves in a predicament that they shouldn't put themselves in. Right? As dhulm, oppression, to put something in the wrong place. Right? So a person, they put themselves in a bad situation. And they oppress themselves. They put themselves in a bad situation, and they oppress themselves. And it's upon us all to make tawbah. We have to all make tawbah. None of us are free from sin, and none of us are free from mistakes. So we have to continuously make tawbah. All of this comes under the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, the 3 du'as that will not be rejected. 3 du'as are answered, and they will not be rejected. And one of them was the du'a of the parent. The second one was the du'a of the traveler. And this third one, the du'a of the person who is being oppressed. So we don't have to, as a lot of us do, we don't have to go back to what we came from when somebody's oppressing us. Whatever it was. Most of it is in opposition to what Islam teaches us. We don't have to leave off the religion when somebody's oppressing us. But we're supposed to use the guidance of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ when we're being oppressed. The du'a of the person that's being oppressed is not rejected. Bila shak, without a doubt, that the du'a of a person is oppressing another person, then we have to make du'a. Because if we're really being oppressed, then our du'as are going to be answered. The last type of oppression, dhulm bayna al-insan wa nas, oppression between people. The first oppression was a person between him and his Lord. The second one was between him on himself by disobeying Allah. But the third type is to oppress someone else from the creation, as we have a lot of now also. بالتعدي عليهم في أموالهم وأعراضهم ودمائهم. By transgressing the limits and going overboard, and for example, taking someone's money that doesn't belong to you. So you transgress, you oppress a person. You borrow money, you don't pay them back. They come to collect the money, you don't answer the phone. You're dipping and dodging, right? Or, as a lot of times it comes up, brothers getting married, and they don't give the sister her dowry up front, right? They're going to do takhir on the dowry. They're going to pay it. I'm going to pay it. So when the sister requests it, he never pays it. Now she's coming to the masjid. She wants her haqq. That's haqq. It's her right. And it has to be paid. By transgressing in a person's wealth or in their honor. Or in their honor. Which we got a big problem with this now. We say anything about anybody. The asl of ghiba, the asl of backbiting, is that backbiting is impermissible. It's haram. Backbiting is haram. The origin is that it's not permissible just to walk around talking about people. Unless you have a valid excuse, a valid reason to talk about a person. We need to know now what is a valid reason to speak about a person. If we don't have valid reason to speak about a person, we have to remember that Yawm al-Qiyam is real. Yawm al-Qiyam is real. The angels that we have with every one of us, this is real. They're recording. Stuff is being written down. We have a book where all of our actions and deeds are going to be in Yawm al-Qiyamah. We're going to come with our books attached to our necks. As Allah said in the Quran, Surah Al-Isra, that we will all come with our books attached to our necks, and it will be said, Iqra kitabak, read your own book. It's going to be said to every person, read your own book. كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ يَوْمَ عَلَيْكَ حَسِيبًا. As you are enough. We will all be enough as a witness against our own selves. We don't have time. We don't have time to do anything outside of obeying Allah Jalla wa Ala, especially in the type of environment we live in. We don't have time to do anything that's not productive for our children. We don't have time. In general, we don't have anything established anyway, outside of the bare necessities for an Islamic community. We have bare necessities. Masjid, a place to play, and classes in the masjid. That's bare minimum. That's nothing like out of the roof. The Muslims gotta have somewhere to play. It's supposed to be a masjid. People have to learn. It's supposed to be class. That's not like special. That's bare minimum. What do we have established for the next generation? This is what we should be building on. Running around talking about everybody and scaring off each other that's wasting time. 15 years already went by. And the same situation is the same. Masjids and a couple classes. MashaAllah. Zulm, oppression. It says, speaking about people, their honor. The honor of the Muslim is sacred. This is Islam 101. This is like Islam 101. That a lot of those people that we frowning nose up, they implement these basic tenets. This basic stuff, they got this down. They might have an issue somewhere else. But this stuff, this 101, they got the 101 down. They might not have the advanced level courses down, but they got the 101 down. Or that a person oppresses a person with their, meaning shed blood, fighting, shooting, attacking Muslims, attacking anybody who you don't have the right to attack. All of this falls under oppression. And the dua of the one who's being oppressed, as the Prophet ﷺ said, is a dua that is mustajaba, da'wah mustajaba. It's important to know, brother, this hadith, akhrajahu Abu Dawud fi Sunnah. And it's in Abu Dawud, and it's in At-Tirmidhi, from the hadith of Abi Hurairah, radiyallahu anhu, wa sahahahu al-Albani. Shaykh al-Albani said the hadith is authentic. And then the hadith, brothers, the Prophet ﷺ said, La shakka fihinna. No doubt that if we're being oppressed, then we need to make dua against the one that is oppressing us. That's if we're using the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. If we want to use what we used to doing, then we can't expect, any results. You can't expect the best result when you choose to leave off the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ and choose to take another route. Syid. It says after that, it says at-tanbih, that we have to be careful also, the parents have to be careful not to make dua against their children. Not to make dua against their children. So a person might say, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody make dua against their children? It says, La siyama fi hal al-ghadab, especially in the time of anger. People get angry and they say anything. Right? They get angry and they say anything. فَلَا يَتَعَجَّلَ بِالدُّعَاءِ عَلَى أَوْلَادِهِمَا. So a person should not be hasty and can't control themselves and make dua against their children. Make dua against their children. He says, and if that dua is answered, ثُمَّ يَنْدَمَا, then they're regretful. They make the dua against their children, and then if Allah answers the dua, they're regretful. He says they're regretful. It says nadama shadida, a heavy regret after they make dua against the child. He says, and the Prophet ﷺ, he warned us from making dua against our children, which shows that it's possible a person makes dua against their children. As he says in the hadith, لا تدعوا على أنفسكم. Do not make dua against yourselves. Do not make dua against yourselves. ولا تدعوا على أولادكم. And don't make dua against your children. ولا تدعوا على أموالكم. And don't make dua against your own wealth. which shows in itself, the hadith shows in itself that it's possible that a person, in the heat of the moment, angry, upset, the situation, they end up making dua against their own self, or maybe against their children, or maybe against their own business. And this hadith is in Sahih Muslim. This hadith is in Sahih Muslim. Akhrajahu Muslim in the Sahih. And Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Isra, وَيَدْعُ الْإِنسَانُ بِالشَّرِّ دُعَاءَهُ بِالْخَيْرِ. And mankind makes dua against himself with evil. Just the way a person may rush to make dua for something good, a person may rush and make dua against their own selves for some evil to fall upon themselves. And Qatada rahimahullah, he said about that ayat, he said, يَدْعُو عَلَى مَالِهِ فَيَلْعَنُ مَالُهُ وَوَلَدُهُ وَلَوْ اسْتَجَابَ اللَّهُ لَهُ لَأَهْلَكَهُ. So a person, based on that ayah, he said a person may make dua against their own wealth, against their own business, their source of income. They make dua against their own selves. Or they may curse their children. They may curse their children. He said, and if Allah was to answer that dua, they would be destroyed. And then Saajid rahimahullah, he said, وَهَذَا مِنْ جَهْلِ الْإِنسَانِ وَعَجَلَتِهِ حَيْثَ يَدْعُو عَلَى نَفْسِهِ وَأَوْلَادِهِ وَمَالِهِ بِالشَّرِّ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. He said, this is from ignorance of a person, that a person is angry and upset, they can't control themselves, and they end up making dua against their own child. This is from jahl, from ignorance. Or they make dua on their own means of income, their wealth. He said, this is وَيُبَادِرُ بِذَلِكَ الدُّعَاء كَمَا يُبَادِرُ بِالدُّعَاء فِي الْخَيْرِ. They said in the same way that they would rush to make dua for something good, sometimes a person, they rush and they make dua for something evil against their own selves. And this is something to be careful. It may not seem realistic, but when we say curse, when we make dua against them, you curse them not with a curse word. Not with a curse word. We say you wish something bad on them. Right? You might wish something bad. I hope this happens to you. In Arabic, they use the word. Sometimes the Arabs, they use the word for cursing. La'an. It's hard. In Arabic, it's a hard term. It's a hard term. To make dua that Allah's mercy, to make dua that Allah's mercy is removed from a person, it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard thing. It's a serious thing. So this is the first portion, which is about making dua for the children, which should be something that we do like in every salah, especially in the type of conditions we live in. And the type of areas that we come from, and the type of situations that our children have to face, and the type of environments that our children are in, we should be making dua that Allah protects our children. Our sajda, our sujood should be long. We shouldn't be in a rush. Especially if we're in the house or we're somewhere playing the Sunnah. We're on our own, that we should be making dua for our wives. The wives should be making dua for their husbands. The parents should be making dua for the children. And if the parents are teaching the children, then the children should be making dua for the parents. That's if we teaching, if the environment is the environment of learning and benefit inside the house. Then it's a serious thing. We see it every day. Kids in the masjid 1 year, 2 years later, Allahu musta'an. Allahu musta'an. You ask about him, nobody's seen him. You ask the father, how's Fulan doing? Make dua for him. It's the only thing, so make dua for him. We should be making dua for him before it gets to that point. Tayyib. The second portion he has in his book is ar-rifq wal-rahmah. And this, in a way, goes against what some of us are used to. Some of us are not used to being gentle and having mercy with people, especially with boys. Especially with boys. It may not be from our culture, it's not from our norm, it's not from our custom to be gentle with our boys, right? You gotta toughen them up. So, can't be all soft, right? Can't be soft, right? Like, there's a time and a place for everything now. It's a time and it's a place for everything. So he says, الرفق واللطف بهم. And a person is gentle with the kids. Huh? They're not in boot camp. The kids, they come to the masjid, they run around. I'll tell you. Huh? It's not a crime. They're kids. They're kids. Sometimes they talk during the class. I'll tell you, it's a kid. You gotta, Syid. You can't be so hard on they don't want to come to the masjid. I can't go there. You can't even talk when you go there. Right? You can't even talk when you go there. You gotta sit up straight the whole 40 hour and a half straight. Tell you. The kids. Kids gotta be kids. Huh? We can't take them so far that they don't want to come to the masjid at all. Now anytime we're going to the masjid, which one? How long are we going to be there? Is it a class or are we just going to pray? Alright? It has to be some legal, it has to be some balance. It can't be, you say he sneezes. What are you sneezing for? Can't sneeze? Sneeze. You know what I'm saying? It has to be balanced. We have to have some type of mercy. That doesn't mean you let people smack him in the face and he goes out. That's not that. We're talking about building a type of relationship where, as he's going to mention, this gentleness, it opens up the door for reception. That the child is more likely to be receptive of what a person is saying because he feels like you want good for him. So he says, a warning from being too hard. A warning from being too hard. وَالْحَذَرْ وَالْبُعْدْ عَنِ الْغَضَّةِ وَالشِّدَّةِ وَالْجَفَاءِ. And warning against being too hard with him, being too stern. Everything has a time and a place. He says, فَإِنَّ الرِّفْقَ لَا يَكُونُ فِي شَيْءٍ إِلَّا زَانَ وَلَا يُنْزَعْ مِنَ الشَّيْءِ إِلَّا شَانَ. This is a hadith that is in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ said, Gentleness is not put in a thing except that it beautifies that thing. Whenever you're gentle with something, it beautifies it. He says that gentleness is not removed from something. When you remove the gentleness and the mercy from something, that it removes the beauty from it. And a simple example is more than likely if a brother or a sister makes a mistake and you go to him nicely and you go to him smiling, say, Assalamu alaikum, how you feeling? MashaAllah. And you approach them like that, more than likely they're going to accept what you're saying. It's not rocket science, right? More than likely. More than likely. It's a better chance. They could not accept it, maybe, but it's a better chance, right? But if you go to them, Assalamu alaikum, face balled up, you looking them up and down, why you praying? Why you doing that? That ain't from Sunnah. They might be a new Muslim. Or maybe they just don't know what the Sunnah is. But one thing's for sure, you're not going to come and just talk to me like that. So I don't care what you're saying at all from this point on, really, right? Then they shut you down. They shut down after that, based on the approach. Based on the approach. You're not going to come in here and scream at me. I don't know what you're saying at this point doesn't even matter anymore. Because the person's turned off just by removing the gentleness from the approach itself. Tayyib. He says, this mercy in rifq يجب أن تبدأ مع الأولاد منذ صغرهم وتمضي وتستمر معهم. That it should start when they're small. It should start when they're small, but it should be continuous. It should be continuous. And that's one of the biggest benefits outside of the classroom of living with the Muslims in Mecca. One of the biggest benefits is you see how merciful they are with each other, how soft they are, how soft that the Muslims are with each other. That you wouldn't see. You don't see a man. To us, we're almost like the man in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Huh? We're close to the man in the hadith that he's going to mention, the man who wouldn't kiss his kids. Right? We're close to that. Allah musta'an. We're closer to that. We're closer to that. And Mecca is Eid. A person doesn't see his father, especially outside, or his mother, especially outside in the street, except that he kisses his father's head. Huh? I'm talking about grown, not 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. He's 30-year-olds, his father is 50 or 60, he kisses his head. He's 20 years, he still kisses his father. If your 15-year-old walks up on you and gives you a kiss, right now, huh? Huh? What's wrong with you, man? Right? Allah understand. We go somewhere else. Yo, you kissing me, like, what are you doing? Allah understand. Huh? If the father comes in the room and they say they stand up and they go to him, it's from their custom, but it's a benefit in it. Do you have to stand up when a person comes in the room? That's not the issue. The issue is the respect level and the mercy that it's a level. You talking about grown men going and kissing his father. And they have no problem with it. They see their mother in the street, their mother, they kiss the hand and the head. Mercy, soft. If they don't know you, huh? Take you by the hand, pull help, it's soft. It's okay. It's not saying we be, let people smack you around and take advantage of you. That's not the issue. We talking about dealing with our children in the house and raising them. Huh? It can't be, as we say, stone all the time. It can't be ice, rock hard. Everything is rock hard. It's going to push away. It's a push away. That's something that push our kids away. As he says here, he says that this softness, sababun liqurb al-abna min abaihim. This is a reason for the children to be closer to their fathers. He said, and this is also a reason that will make it easy, to talk to the children. Maybe you want to give them some advice. You want to pull his coat on something. You want to tell them about it. It's easier. It's easier for the child to be receptive because he knows that you only want good for him. He says, وَتَتَيَسَّرْ النَّصِيحَ لَهُمْ. And it's easier to give them advice. It's easier to give them advice. وَكَذَا إِسْتِجَابَتُهُمْ وَقُبُولُهُمْ لَهَا. And it's also more likely that they will accept the advice based on this gentleness. And as we said, this is not a call to weakness. As we have to remember, with the culture, what our culture and our custom and what we're used to is not the gauge. The gauge is the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If our custom agrees with the Quran and the Sunnah, then we keep it. If our custom goes against the Quran and the Sunnah, then we leave off the custom and we follow the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah. And this is important, that not all of our customs are bad. Because we live amongst non-believers, we live in a land of disbelief, doesn't mean all of our customs have to be trashed. But some do have to be trashed. Some have to be trashed. Because if we keep following them, it's not possible. Some of our customs, if we keep following them, it's not possible to implement the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah. It's not possible. Some things have to be done away with. We have to. And every city may have their own thing. I don't know about AC, but I know here, we got a problem. We know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. I think everybody, and every message you go in, they know the hadith. Smiling in your brother's face is sadaqah. Sah? Where is that hadith? Allah, where it is. But we all know it. Smiling in your brother's face is sadaqah. Sah? Tayyib. Not here. Because here, smiling is like you soft. You smiling at me for? It was a brother. Actually, he was in AC. Allah Mustaan. I'm not picking on it, I'm just saying it's a real story. The brother, he was from AC. So he said he went to the masjid, he gave the brother salam, Assalamu alaikum, how you feeling, man? Alhamdulillah. Brother said, Alhamdulillah, I'm good, man. Why are you smiling at me, That's what he asked him. He went happy to the masjid, saw him, Assalamu alaikum, how you feeling, man? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I'm all right, like, why are you smiling at me, though? I'm just happy to see the brothers, man. Alhamdulillah, how you been, man? I've been good. What What are you smiling for? Man, I'm just happy to be behind with the believers, man. SubhanAllah. That's the brother from AC said. I'm just happy to be here with the believers, man. SubhanAllah. The brother stopped and said, so you mean to tell me, he did say, he said, so you mean to tell me, you smiling at me just because? He couldn't look at it. If our custom goes against the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, we have to leave it off. Or it's impossible to implement the hadith. You can't follow the guidance if you're sticking to something that goes clearly against the guidance. Right? He was dead serious. He said, the brother looked at me and couldn't believe that I was just happy to see him. Allahumma musta'an. Point being, if it goes against the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, we have to leave it. Everything doesn't go against the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. Huh? Not all of our customs have to be thrown in the trash. Not all of the things that we were raised on have to be jumped. Huh? I don't know how many people, it's a famous statement that the old heads used to say. At least I know my mother would tell me all the time. If you don't have anything good to say, then shut up. Gee, it's in line with the hadith. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believes in Allah on the last day, say something good and keep silent. Right? I don't know where she got it from, but it falls in line with the Sharia. So we don't have to trash that. We don't have to trash everything, but if stuff goes against the text, and it goes against the guidance of the Quran and Sunnah, we have to leave it off. He said this, being gentle, he says, تكاثرت النصوص من السنة من سنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ببيان هذه الركيزة فقد جاء عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل الحسن بن علي رضي الله عنهما, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم came and he kissed Hassan, the son of Ali. And while he kissed him, a man, al-Aqra' ibn Habis, jalisun indahu. The man was sitting there and he saw the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم kiss al-Hassan ibn Ali. So the man said, فقال إن لي عشرة من الولد ما قبلت منهم أحدا. I had 10 kids, I didn't kiss none, I didn't kiss any of them. Not one. فنظر إليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم looked at the man and he said, وقال من لا يرحم لا يرحم. Whoever doesn't have mercy on the people will be shown no mercy. It's heavy. Whoever doesn't have mercy on the people won't be shown mercy. It's for the kids. Huh? The man didn't kiss his son, and this is something that right now, if we think about it, and it doesn't necessitate that being gentle has to be through a kiss. It doesn't necessitate that. But we know there are ways to show gentleness in our culture. Do we allow our kids to express that with us? Or is everything rock hard, solid, stone? Huh? From the guidance of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is that gentleness beautifies something, and to remove the gentleness removes the beauty. طيب. Thirdly, تعليمه القرآن الكريم. Teaching our children the Quran. Teaching our children the Quran. Allahumma musta'an. And this is something that we fall short big time. Big time. I taught at a camp one summer. I had the children read al-Fatiha. What is al-Fatiha? Which one is that? I said, read al-Fatiha. Which one is that? These are big kids, 11, 12 years old. Which one is that? Al-Fatiha? The one you read every day in the Salah when you pray? Huh? Which one is that? 13, 14 years old? How many surahs you know? One. How many basketball players you know? It's not a shot, it's real. The reality is our priorities are not in order. Our priorities are not in order. We know all the shoes, the sneakers, all the clothes that they're supposed to have for whatever sport they're going to play. All that. We got it down to a science. Registration, camp fees, and these fees, and money, all of that. 4 or 5 days a week, practices and the games. Huh? Quran on Saturday for 3 hours. Oh, I don't know if you can sit for 3 hours. 3 straight? Go ahead. Quran, 2 hours. Oh, you got school, I got school tomorrow. No time for the book of Allah, but time for all of the sports. Everything connected to the dunya, time for it. Time to sit for the Quran. I don't know if you're going to be able to. How much is it again? How much is it? Huh? Or, astaghfirullah, it's supposed to be free. How you going to charge people teaching Quran? Huh? He says, at this age, if a person, فَإِذَا أَرَدْنَا الْخَيْرِيَّ وَالرِّفْعَ لِأَبْنَائِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ فَلْنَحْرِصْ عَلَى تَعْلِيمِهِمْ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ تِلَاوَةً وَحِفْظًا تَدَبُّرًا وَعَمَلًا وبخاصة في هذه المرحلة مرحلة الحفظ. If we want good for our kids in this life and the next, then we have to be serious. We have to be serious about teaching them the Quran. Tilawatan, how to recite it, how to memorize it, how to reflect over the meanings, what does it mean, and how to act. What does the ayat mean? What am I supposed to do? If this ayat says we can do this, we can't do this, so how do I implement that? Huh? If we're serious, if we want good for our children. He said, especially at this level, memorization, memorizing. As the lower, the younger they are, the less responsibility they have. The less responsibility, the more time they have to do whatever needs to be done. No responsibility, no work, no marriage. They're not married. They have plenty of time. Then he brings a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. I think everybody knows this hadith. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. Like, how many of us are learning the Quran? Not even teaching it. How many of us are learning? How many of us are putting our children in an environment to learn the Quran? Let alone teaching it, if we even reach the level to be able to teach it. But how many of us even are learning the Quran or even put our children in an environment where they can learn the Quran? And the Prophet ﷺ said that these are the best of you. The best of you are those who learn the Quran. This hadith, Allahumma musta'an, is in Sahih al-Bukhari, is in Sahih al-Bukhari, authentic hadith. He says, كثير من العلماء النابغين حفظوا القرآن قبل البلوغ. Many of the scholars, many of the ulama we know and love, they memorize the Quran before puberty. Before puberty. وقد حفظه الشافعي وابن السبع سنين. Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah. Imam al-Shafi'i memorized the Quran at 7 years old. These stories shouldn't be like, it's like some, it's out of the world. It's like it's impossible. If you ask the people who lived in Saudi, ask anybody who lived in the land of the Muslims and ask them about these kids. Ask them about kids. And they're not all Arabs. So that's not an excuse. We don't have the excuse, my son doesn't speak Arabic. There's no excuse. We don't have an excuse. Honestly, we don't have an excuse. And the Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, Al-Quran hujjatan lak aw alayk. The Quran will be a proof for you or against you. We don't have an excuse. We don't have an excuse. It's not an excuse that we're not Arabs. Ask any person who lived in the land of the Muslims, do children really memorize the Quran that young? It's not something that's impossible. It's very doable if we put our children in the right circumstances. If we put them in the right situation, it's doable. You'd be surprised what they can do. You will be surprised what your children can do if you put them in the right situation. If we never give them that opportunity, we'll never know. We'll never know what their capabilities are if we don't put them in the right situation. He says, وَحَفِظَهُ النَّوْوِي rahimahullah wa ibn Ashr. Imam al-Nawawi, he finished the Quran when he was 10. It's doable. You got to be in the right spot, the right situation. Wa ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, قبل البلوغ, before he reached puberty. وكذلك سماحة الشيخ بن باز rahimahullah, before he reached puberty, and others. If you read the ulama, the bios of the ulama, you'll see that they gave importance to the Quran firstly. All those stories about the Salaf, you got to memorize Quran. We have to use that stuff. It's not just something to keep repeating. We have to use it, or it's going to be a proof against us. If we don't use this, if we don't use this information We may come Yom al-Qiyamah and it's a proof against us. What excuse? We don't have an excuse. Our kids don't know Arabic. There's people teaching Arabic all over the city. This message isn't all over. You can pretty much go anywhere and find somebody that can teach you how to read the Quran. How to read. You can pretty much go anywhere in the city and find a class for how to read. Children, adults. What excuse do we have that our teenagers can't read Arabic? It's not important to us. What's important to us are those tights that they wear under the basketball shorts. I forgot the name. Compression pants. That's muhim. Headbands. Right? The sleeves. All the sports, all that stuff is important because we don't play. When it comes to that, they got everything. This one and the sneakers and this shoe and that shoe. I'm not saying it's haram. I'm not saying that. But where's the importance to Islam, the religion? Where's the importance to the Quran? What's going to hold them? If we die today or tomorrow, what's going to hold them? What's going to keep them on the religion? Their names? The name? We have to give them something to stand on. What better to stand on than the Book of Allah? He said, وَقَدْ حَرِصَ السَّلَفُ الصَّالِحِ عَلَى حِفْظِ الْقُرْآنِ الْكَرِيمِ وَتَعَلُّمِهِ وَتَعْلِيمِهِ لِأَبْنَائِهِمْ. And the Salaf, they were serious. They were serious about teaching their kids the Quran. And this is all throughout, tons and tons of narrators. You can do a whole class just reading the narrations on how serious they were with their kids with the Quran. The Quran to us, Allahu Musta'an. Allahu Musta'an. Allahu Musta'an. And brothers, this is an encouragement that we have to give our kids opportunities. We have to give them opportunities. I know a brother, he learned the Quran in 2 years, at 10, from 10 to 12. How serious of it? His father took him out of school at 10 years old. Took him out of school, homeschool. Like, homeschool. Some of us, we got our kids homeschooled, right? Homeschool, took him out at 10. At 12, he was finished. At 12, he was finished. 2 years. Took him out of school at 10, found a sheikh, sat with a sheikh 5 days a week. 12, he's done, khalas. The rest of his life, he does review. Allah Akbar. And he said when he went back to school at 12, this is one of my classmates, he said when he went back to school at 12, it was like he didn't miss anything. He wasn't behind on anything. But his father saw it severe and important enough to take his son out of school. That's how important for him it was for his son to learn the Quran. 2 years, khalas. And the younger they are, they're like, we already know this, we say this. But we say it about Allah Alam, or they like sponges. Like, that sponge, you got to put some good stuff in that sponge. You can't let that sponge soak up a bunch of nonsense. Before you know it, they be looking to get married. And still, jazamna. Allah Musta'an. We have to put our kids in situations where they can exceed. Not no bit. The brother I'm telling you about right now, he wasn't Arab. He wasn't Arab. We don't have an excuse. Ask any of the brothers who study any of the jamias, or was any of the Muslims, they don't, it's not like it's only Arabs that's doing this stuff. Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah. Sahih Bukhari. Imam Bukhari wasn't an Arab. Neither was Imam Muslim. They don't have to be Arabs. They learned Arabic. We can learn Arabic. And there's people doing it. There's people doing it. But we have to prioritize. We can't keep giving the Quran a back seat. And he brings a hadith. And we'll stop with this. He says, فَكَانَ السَّلَفْ يَحْرِصُونَ عَلَى تَعَلُّمِ الْقُرْآنِ وَفَهْمِهِ وَالْعَمَلِ بِهِ. That they were serious about learning the Quran, understanding the Quran, and acting on the Quran. Al-Quran hujjatan lak or alayk. Quran is either going to be a proof for you or against you. Not just memorizing a bunch of stuff and be still acting like a fool on the street. Oh, he say out to lunch. He's out to lunch, off the hook or whatever all those ayat, but you couldn't tell. Understanding it, understanding it and implementing it. He says, وَهُوَ الْأَسَاسِ And this is the foundation. فَقَدْ كَانَ النَّبِيُّ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. As Aisha radiallahu anha said, that the adab, when they came and they asked Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was in the house with him, so she saw behind closed doors what they couldn't see. How was his adab? How was his character? Alayhi salatu wassalam. She said, خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. His Quran, his character was the Quran. He was implementing the revelation. It wasn't just something to be read off when we all in the masjid. Reading it off like a newspaper. Just finished this surah. He behaved like that. It wasn't just a dress thing. He dressed up, knew a couple words of Arabic, in front of the brothers. But if you see somebody at his workplace, they say, who? Oh man, he off the chain. Hey, y'all pray together? It's reality. You gotta stop playing dress up. You can't play dress up. This thing is real. His adab was the Quran. His behavior was the Quran. خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ is what Aisha radiallahu anha said. He said, and something that should encourage the fathers or the parents على الحرص في تعليم أبنائهم القرآن ما جاء في ذلك من فضائل التي أخبر بها النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. Something that should encourage the parents for their kids to learn the Quran, or putting them in a situation where they can learn the Quran. There's a hadith عن سهل بن معاذ الجهني رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من قرأ القرآن وعمل به ألبس والداه تاجا يوم القيامة ضوءه أحسن من ضوء الشمس في بيوت الدنيا فما ظنكم بالذي عمل بهذا. It's recorded by Abu Dawood. And this portion of the Quran is taken from another book, Tarbiyatul Awlad, the Taqdeem by Sheikh Salih Fawzan. And the book is not by Sheikh Salih Fawzan. He wrote a muqaddimah, an introduction to it, due to the benefit that he found in it. The hadith says, whoever reads the Quran and acts by it, that his parents will be given a crown, Yawm al-Qiyamah. They will be dressed up with a crown, Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah make us from it. The light coming from that crown will be better than the light of the dunya, the sun. You know, you're sitting on a porch sometimes and the sun rays are coming through the sun porch or the vestibule that's coming through the blinds. The light will be better than that light for the one who reads the Quran. He said, فَمَا ظَنَّكُمْ. But what about the person who actually acts on the Quran also? Not just memorizing, but memorizing and acts on the Quran. And he says, for the person who may feel that they're too old. وَإِلَى مَنْ فَاتَهُ رَقْبُ الْحِفْظِ وَكَبُرَ سَنُّهُ وَأَصْبَحَ الْقُرْآنِ يَتَفَلَّتُ مِنْهُ. For the person who feels that they're old. I don't know if I can memorize like that anymore. Which, that in itself is still not. You got to hear these stories of people who finished memorizing the Quran when they were 80. 80. You got to see in the Quran circles for the women. The Quran circles for the women. As my wife told me, it was a woman in there so old, memorizing the Quran with them. She was so old you could see her veins. Like grandmom old. Grandmom old. When the veins, the green, you can see the veins in the hand. She's in there reading the book of Allah. What excuse? We don't have an excuse. Except that we're busy with something that we see to be more beneficial, or something that we see to be more of a priority. That's what we're busy with. Old lady with veins coming out still memorize the Quran. But he says anyway, if a person feels like that they reach the level where they don't know if they can memorize, they don't know if they can do it, he says, فَلَا فُوتُكَ أَجْرَ حِفْظِ أَبْنَاكَ. Don't let the opportunity pass by where your children can still benefit. And you can still benefit from your children learning the Quran. Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this is the last portion, as we'll stop for the salat. And I say lastly that this ta'lim al-Quran is something that we really have to give importance to. As wallahi, I don't know if we're going to have an excuse on Qiyamah. That I'm looking around, I see brothers that I've been known for years. And I don't know personally not one hafiz from our children. 15 years. 15 years go by, 20 years. Not one hafiz that we've produced. We're not saying that everybody has to be a hafiz, but subhanAllah, when we die off, who's going to lead the salah? Huh? Who's going to lead the salah? A community of Muslims needs doctors, lawyers, surgeons, teachers in the school, nurses. Huh? Our women dressed all up. They go to the joint, they got to deal with a man. We need women. Huh? We also need people who can lead the salah. People who are going to be able to teach. We're going to need tulab al-ilm. We're going to need tulab al-ilm. After us, we're going to need our children. We're going to need some of our children to come here and do this. We don't know. We might not make it. The next Ramadan, we might not make it 5 years from now. Allah A'lam. We have to build something. And the Quran is the asl. All of those books, all those biographies we read, they say they started with the Quran. We start with, I'm not even going to say that because that's going to be a whole Twitter session if I say that. I won't even say that. But we're not starting with the Quran. We're starting with books that our ulama have written. Which is khair. It's khair in them. It's good in them. But the asl is the Quran. And we know all those narrations. They would ask, we would go sit with them. They would ask, did you memorize the Quran? La. Go back and memorize the Quran. As a story I heard maybe 2 weeks ago on the lecture, I forgot who was giving the sheikh. I forgot what it was. The man wanted to memorize and came and he said, Sheikh, he wants to memorize Saajid al-Supplicating. He wanted to memorize Saajid al-Supplicating, a book of fiqh. So the sheikh said to him, did you memorize the Quran? He said, La. He said, Tayyib, you going to memorize the statement of the ulama before you memorize the kalam Allah, the statements of Allah? You're going to memorize the books of the statements of the scholars before you memorize the statements of Allah? Huh? So la. So Tayyib, go memorize the Quran, then come back. He went back and memorized the Quran. Fairly. He went and memorized the Quran. Not just, all right, just fall back and go memorize it anyway. Shit. He went and memorized the Quran, came back, Sheikh, I want to memorize Bulugh al-Maram. No, I want to memorize Saajid al-Supplicating. Now I'm ready to memorize Saajid al-Supplicating, the fifth book. He said, did you memorize Bulugh al-Maram? No. Tayyib. You going to memorize the statements of the ulama, the scholars, before you memorize the statement of the Prophet ﷺ? Where are your priorities at? What did he do? He went and memorized Bulugh al-Maram. This is people who are working, not a bunch of talking, dress up and we all look good and we know some Arabic. And our kids are, Allah understand, huh? We gotta make dua. Dua is a big, big thing. We have to make dua. We have to prioritize and hopefully Allah Jalla wa Ala will open up a door for us and protect our children from the fitna that we're going through. We don't want to leave a bigger fitna on them than the one that we're going through. We may be questioning Yawm al-Qiyamah about that. I'll stop there, inshallah, for the salah. Any questions? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.